There he is. All right, so let's go here. We are live. Let me go ahead. I forgot to totally do this. Let's go back to Tainted Glove, and then we'll hit the live. Oh, there it is. All right, live. And let's go back to Tainted Glove, and then we'll mute that son of a gun. Now, is that the wind?
Yeah. Oh man,
it's gonna be an issue with the audio.
You got that dog reception coming through.
I know what I'm doing, but I'm right on the ocean, so there's not a lot I can do.
Oh, that's funny. That works. All right, let's see. I got to do with Aloha. Oh, I got to do Pete at Aloha. Lower score, Mr. At the White Sox game. I just say KFidds. KFidds. Well, I guess there's the top 5 favorite films of 22, as well as a new show coming from the minds of Yumper and so at the show and plenty more. Boop. All right. And that's done. I'll go ahead and like it and share. We're live. Join the chat. If you're not at the White Sox. Are the Cubs at home tonight too?
No, I think they're in Pittsburgh. I'll tell you right now. They are.
Oh, no, yeah, they're Pittsburgh. Okay.
They're Pittsburgh. Yeah, they play Pittsburgh tonight. Killian's going tonight.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. The kid, I predicted he's going to get his first win. Go to the White Sox game. White Sox.
What's Kelly doing, Swell?
So Kelly's inside. There, it's graduation night here, and my niece just graduated from Florida State, and my nephew just graduated high school. So they're cutting up cakes. I got a little present for you, Yumper. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna put the camera on my family here, to the movie part. But I got a little present for you, and I'm very excited to deliver this present to you.
Is it Encanto?
Is it bigger than a breadbasket?
So I'm not going to say anything else, but it is Encanto related. But it's a present that you're going to like. I promise you this.
Oh, God. All right. We got some nice reaction on our episode so far.
Yeah, we got 3 people listening. All right, you ready to go? Yeah. All right, let's get this party started. In 5, 4, 3.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
It's time for the Tainted Glove, starring your favorite man of questionable character, Aloha Mr. Hand.
Hey, bud, let's party.
And the Holy Reverend KFidds himself. It's go time, so grab a beer, grab a bite, and settle in. It's time for the Tainted Glove.
Aloha, in the words of our great man, Aloha Mr. Hand. Gotta make sure we say that properly. Welcome to this week's edition of the Tainted Glove. As you'll see today, if you're watching the streaming video, Mr. Hand is not with us this week. He is currently at the White Sox game. He may be popping in here while he does a little tailgate. He may even jump in here from the 108. We might get a live cast from the 108, which might be interesting. Also, it might not be safe for work kind of stuff. So who knows? We might see Wally Money's Nurples, his purple Nurples, if we get really lucky. So yeah, we're welcoming this week. We've got special guests from our Tainted Glove sister network, sibling network, whatever we want to call it. Our boys from Yumper and Swo at the show. We got Lil Yumper and Swo, Justin Swo Swoboda. with us today as we're going to jump into a little bit of Cubs and White Sox, but we're going to actually talk a little movie. We're going to get a little movie centric today. I got a little hair up my ass right now as far as talking movies. I mean, we're midway through the year, and so we are 6 months in, and there have been plenty of solid releases this year. And we got 6 months to go, so we're going to do a little mid-year film check up while the guys are also going to tell you a little bit about some of their new ventures that they're going to be kicking off here soon. We talked last episode about the awesome showing that they had at the screening for Top Gun Maverick together. So I know Pete told a little bit of the stories about that last week. And Pete will be back with us next week as we welcome special guest and music guru and calf master, Mailman Jack, who was actually just recently on the most recent episode of Yumper and Swow at the show. So real quick, first and foremost, Yumper, why don't you say hello real quick, and we'll take it around the corner, and then we'll get going here in a second. But welcome to the show, guys. Appreciate you guys hopping on here. And I know Swow's jumping in here from he's really roughing it down in Florida, but welcome, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm. This is a remote broadcast for me. I'm right on the beach. You can see the palm trees swaying behind me, but I couldn't miss talking movies with my boys.
Awesome.
So on special assignment.
He is. He's on a special assignment. He's there. He's going to be there to hit all of the wonderful Cuban restaurants featured in the movie Chef. So we'll I'm sure he's going to be getting quite a few delicious treats. And you're going. Have you? When are you supposed to actually head to that place? What's the place called again? And
so the Cuban joint is called Versailles. It's where they had Cuban sandwiches in Chef. But we leave for that on Friday. We'll be there for a Marlins game because I can't do a big city without seeing their local base. And then we're gonna hit a bunch of spots in Little Haiti and sample all.
It's gonna sample all. All right. Well, cool.
Internet monster got him.
He did. You got that Yadog. So you get the occasional Yadog reception. And so, well, great. Well, and as we get going too, again, thank you everybody for tuning in. I know some of you guys are at the Sox game right now, so we understand that you're probably not listening to us live, but those of you that are listening on the podcast, we appreciate you guys tuning in as well. But to get to it real quick, we'll jump into a little bit of baseball real quick, so we can get that. It almost like baseball's kind of, we gotta get the baseball out of the way real quick, so that we can. Yeah, he probably does have My Sox Summer's internet. No, he doesn't. He has better internet than that. He's not pixelated at all, so he doesn't look like a Pac-Man. Piku, as we would learn from the wonderful Scott Pilgrim. So anyway, so we'll start with the White Sox here real quick. And I'm sure Yump, I know you got some Cubs opinions. We're going to get there in a second because we've been going through this together. Yeah, you and I are a support group. But we've been a little bit of a support group for Swow and for Aloha Mr. Hand as well. So for Pete. So let's jump to the White Sox fan real quick. Tonight, the White Sox are at home against the Toronto Blue Jays off a short turnaround. Yesterday, they finished a 3-game series in Houston. So they are now taking on one of the better teams in baseball after taking on one of the better teams in baseball. They played pretty well. They got blown out in the first game. They blew out the Astros in the second game, and they lost a 1-run game in the finale last night in what was a really actually an enjoyable game to watch across the board because it was just solid, good baseball, 4-3, fun to watch. So, Swow, where are you at as a White Sox fan? As far as what you've seen, where you think the team is at now, it looks like the offense is kind of waking up a little bit. I mean, what's your take on the White Sox here on June 20th, 2022, year of our Lord?
So, that's a great question, Fidds. And our podcast is all about movies, so I want to relate it that way. But it's The Godfather, right? It's just when I think I'm out, they pull me right back in, and the Tiger series, to me, it was all smoke and mirrors. We were in the third game against the Astros. Kopech pitched. He got out of a couple early jams. This team doesn't have it. It doesn't have that killer mentality to come through in the clutch and beat big teams. And I think it's a clear, failure on the leadership and the ownership of this team to not put those pieces in place, to not have, a right fielder, to not have, Josh Harrison's been playing great lately, but is it enough, right? Is it could that money, instead of spending it on Kendall Graveman, could it have been spent elsewhere? So it's frustrating. It's frustrating to watch this team.
So
I'm sorry.
Oh no. So I was gonna say, yeah. So you're at this point where it seems like you're ready to it's one of those roller coaster kind of things, huh? Where you're one day you're done with baseball, you're done with it all, you're ready to throw it all, catapult it into the sun, and the next day you love it so much that you can't wait till the next opportunity. It's kind of like golf. It sounds to me right now. It's like
exactly what it's like, and it goes around White Sox Twitter, and you've seen it before, but like it's the Larry David curb your enthusiasm. Fuck you, and I'll see you tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like that's exactly what it is. I'm so frustrated, like at certain points with this team, and everyone was expecting doomsday with this Rick Hahn presser, and it was like, all right, Timmy's back. Injury updates are good. Yo-Yo's on the IL now. Like, I have been the biggest Yoan Moncada fan since the trade and the biggest supporter of this dude. I love this dude. I want this dude to succeed. I'm craving for this dude to succeed. And he's always hurt. He's a China doll. And I can't, like, I don't know. I don't even know where to begin. Like, I want the team to win. I want the team to be good. But at some point, there's going to have to be a sacrificial lamb here to shake things up. And I don't know who it's going to be.
What do you think, So? I mean, you obviously you're in on this White Sox. You know, you're about in the same boat as me, where we're in this White Sox boat as well. What are you thinking based on as us as outsiders? What do you think is this an enjoy the ride moment?
I think personally, I think the team has just been decimated by injuries, and they've been playing. Give hats off to the team that keep playing. I think they're 2 games under 31-33 with all the injuries they've had. It's just a lack of depth, and I think a lot of people scream for Tony La Russa right now to get fired. Tony might be part of the issue, but a lot of it has to go up to Rick Hahn. I mean, in the offseason, he didn't back up his players that he knew was going to get injured. I think Pete put it best in his rant for the post game that Rick went out and spent a lot in the bullpen, which is hurting right now. But I mean, you knew you had players that were question marks, and Eloy, Luis Robert, even with Dallas Keuchel, and you went to the bargain bin for those with your second baseman replacement, and you don't really have a viable outfielder. I mean, Pollock is starting to pick it up this month, which is good for Josh Nelson and his bet, but it's not what you would expect from a GM to do that was giving more money than the franchise history to spend. And I think a lot of this falls on Rick Hahn. I mean, Tony's getting a blunt of the blame right now, but Rick Hahn has to, be seeing some of this as well.
Okay. And today, it's kind of funny today, just before we jumped on, I love him to death. Buzz on Tap. I've known, forever. Like he's one of my first White Sox Twitter friends. So he was with us. Actually, he was part of our, on my other podcast with Pinwheels and Ivy, he was actually part of our Sports Mockery Network for a little bit. And so we met through that. We're kind of going back and forth right now on Twitter, even about Harrison. You brought up Harrison. Harrison actually, there's been a lot of talk about why don't we just, now Tim Anderson's back, shove Mendick over at second. Well, that probably sounds like a great idea if currently right now Harrison wasn't hitting better and have a higher OPS that's better than Mendick in the month of June. Last 20 days, Harrison, which is shocking if you've watched his at-bats, sometimes he looks like he might as well go up there with a damn toothbrush. They're horrible. But somehow he has found a way, especially he's 10 for his last 31 in this month. He's also 10, where I think he's like 8 for, I don't know, I sent it to you guys. In the last 7 games, he's on fire. He's hitting well. So, I mean, you got to ride the hot hand a little bit, right? I mean, the White Sox offense has been struggling so much that, you don't just bang your head against the wall with a guy like Mendick if he's not, you play who's swinging it better. And I think that sometimes you get the White Sox fans get something in their head. They look at bats and they only think, well, this guy's looked like such a jackwagon in some of these at bats that they don't really see these numbers. I bet you it's surprising for White Sox fans as a collective when they look at Harrison's June numbers and go, are you kidding? What? He's hitting 323? He's got an OPS of almost 800 in the month of June. Wait, what?
It's either that or they're going to get beers during his at bats, and they're not seeing the quality at bats that are happening.
Yeah, I mean, some of them aren't very quality either, but that's the one they're not. It's kind of like
and you're absolutely right. Like sometimes you get up there and he's swinging like an asshole. Like it is what it is, right? But numbers don't lie. We say it all the time. OPS matters. Yeah.
I think as fans, we tend to remember the worst moments more than we do a little happy little, when they're starting to break out struggles. I mean, we do it as Cubs fans too sometimes, Fidds, and then we have to look at the numbers to remind ourselves. But I think just all the struggles have just put on to where people are just pissed off right now.
Yeah, I think that you're right. I mean, it's actually a human condition too. I think it's just like in life, we don't remember our wins. we always seem to focus in our society today. We focus on the negative. We focus on all the losses, and you don't realize in the midst of all those losses, you've peppered in far more wins than losses. We just sometimes fail to see them right in front of our face because, losses hurt worse. Wins, you can almost get comfortable in winning. So, you can almost like write off a win as just expected, which, and with the White Sox case, I mean, they've been expected to score and they've been expected to win. And, they've got a real tough, go here for a little bit the next, week or so, but then they're going to jump into the easiest schedule in baseball for the second half of the season. And you're going to see the White Sox really kind of make a run, I think. And I think all this hyperbole, all of this, I'm done. I'm not enjoying the ride. I quit. I mean, I got a lot of screenshots from about a week and a half ago of people that we all know on White Sox Twitter that we love and adore that quit. The White Sox won a couple games in a row and didn't quit anymore. Like, I mean, if you're going to quit. Go away. Stop watching. Or
right.
That always drives me nuts. Like, I quit. You'll be back in like 3 days. You're like in an abusive relationship here. Like, just don't say you quit. Just say I'm going to take a break.
Before we talk about the Cubs, can I ask you guys a question real quick?
Sure.
So I went and I saw the ocean yesterday for the first time, and I had this weird existential moment. And, it always comes back to movies and sports and Buffalo Wings with me. But I was thinking about sports during this existential moment. And I'm like, you ever get pissed at your parents for like, why the fuck am I a White Sox fan? Or why the hell am I a Cubs fan? Why do I root for the Bears? Why did you do this to me, Dad? Why did you do this to me? And that's how I feel with the White Sox. I get mad at them. I'll be back tomorrow. I know I am. I said some stupid things when they hired Tony La Russa. Cancel my season tickets. I'm not going anymore. But I'm at the ballpark when I can be. I love the team. And I'm not going to just like stop watching them. But that's my existential moment. And that's what happened. And sometimes I get mad at my parents. I'm thinking about going up to Lambeau Field in September. And I'm like, I'm going to go watch the Bears get their ass kicked. But you know what? They're my Bears, and I love them, and I'll be back every single week. It is what it is. You know what I mean, guys?
Absolutely. And you know what? You make this. This is where this is what the first thing that came to my mind.
Answer me. Who taught you how to do this stuff?
You, all right? I learned it by watching you.
So that's arguably the greatest PSA in history. But that's all of us, right? I mean, in some way, shape, or form, I'm a fifth generation Cub fan. I mean, I have family that was missionaries to the Boxer Rebellion in China that came back to watch Cub games back in the early 1900s. Like, that's how far back it goes in my family. So for me, I was born into bondage. My parents always used to joke. I mean, I was born with a Cub hat on. I mean, my dad was going in and out of the delivery room because the Cubs were playing the Mets that day and my dad was running in and out of mom in the school. So I literally was born into bondage as a Cub fan. So for me, I've known nothing.
You merely adopted it.
Yeah.
I was born into darkness. You merely adopted it.
my dad has blue eyes. I have brown. I don't know what's going on. Wait, that's the dominant. Never mind. It would have been if I had blue eyes, it'd been a problem. But yeah, with fan bases, I mean, we'll jump into the Cubs here in a second. But with the White Sox, you guys have done. I feel like I know Pete obviously, he's had a few tirades, which are great. I love hot Pete when Pete gets going. But you guys, I mean, you especially, Justin, you've done a really great job. You haven't lost your shit. I feel like you've been enjoying this because you've also made it not something that occupies every part of your being. You are well-rounded in the sense that you're going to see movies. You get excited about other stuff. And I feel like some Sox fans have put all their eggs in this season's basket, and it almost makes it hard for them to enjoy all the other stuff. I mean, almost the beer tastes like shit right now when you're in a negative place. And so I think you've done a great job. I think Pete has too. I mean, obviously Pete's a fiery guy, so I love when Pete gets hot. But our DM, our messages back and forth. I mean, there hasn't been a ton of compared to what I've seen. Zoe too. My guy Southside Zoe, fantastic. He's chill. Like he goes out and plays with his kid. Take his kid. He was watching Cars 2 or something yesterday during the Sox game. So he finds ways to not get too high, which in 162 games. This roller coaster moves quite frequently over 162. So I don't know. I hopefully, I'm going to wear a shit ton too if the White Sox don't come figure it out, because I'm the guy over here as a Cub fan, and Yumper, you've been pretty much the same too, saying just wait, give it some time. They're going to fall into place eventually. They'll make their run when they make their run. You're not trying to peak in June. You're trying to peak in August and September. So, trade deadline's coming up. They have a couple pieces maybe they need to fix, but White Sox health too. What do you think? Tim Anderson's back tonight. What are you thinking about Tim Anderson tonight? What do you how do you think he's going to come back? Do you have any predictions for his first game back? Is he going to stir the drink like the straw he is, or Is he going to take a second?
I think this injury and whatever happened in his personal life, it might take a little bit for this to click. It might take some time for him to get his mojo back or whatever. I mean, I could be wrong. Tim might just be the guy that stirs the drink and makes everything go. But I think this one's a little bit different, and I'm almost worried about the White Sox training staff that they didn't quite take this serious enough. But that's just me, and I have doubts about their training staff to begin with.
TA comes back tonight too, and Moncada goes on the retroactive DL, right? Is that what just happened today too as well?
Yeah, they put him on a 10-day DL retroactive to Sunday or whatever. I
think it was Saturday.
Yeah,
is it a blessing in disguise? As struggling as much as he struggled recently, is it almost a blessing in disguise that maybe he's going to go get right, and you could at least fill in another body for that spot for a second? That, I mean, anything better than 200 is better than what he's been performing at all season so far, because I feel like it's almost been worse. He's only been dropped once in the lineup.
You're making too much sense, right? And that's what I think. That's what I'm worried about. Like the White Sox didn't treat his first oblique injury important enough, right? And Yasmani's been hurt, and they didn't have their legs under them. You know how hard it is to turn on a ball or pull a ball when you have a pulled oblique or whatever. And he didn't have he couldn't catch up to the fastball, right? And if you can't catch up to a fastball in Major League Baseball, like, you're screwed. So maybe he gets his legs under him. Maybe this injury gets him healthy. Maybe it gets him right. I think when he's on, you've seen that the effects of the COVID season have gone away, and he has these flashes and of potential and brilliance, and it's just not there right now. And I don't think he's quite right.
Okay, that makes 100% sense. I mean, Yump, we've dealt with plenty of questionable injuries with the Cubs too. So as we kind of transition, what do you think the White Sox are going to do this week? I mean, real quick before we jump over to Cubs, they've got a 3-game set with the Blue Jays here starting today. By the way, the Cubs are already down 3-0 to the Pirates. This is not good. I really thought Killian was gonna. He's given up 3 runs in the bottom of the second out of the Pirates. Not great. But the White Sox, their schedule, when you look at their schedule this week, they got 3 against Toronto, and then they got a 4-game set versus Baltimore and a 3-game set on the road at Anaheim. So they're going to be right in my neighborhood a little bit next week. Let's just talk about this week through Sunday. You got 3 against Toronto, 4 against Baltimore. What is your guess on how they're going to finish this, how they're going to play these next 7 days out?
I think they could take 2 out of 3 for Toronto. And going off that swing, I think they could take 3 out of 4 for Baltimore. So was that 5-2 road trip? I think that's possible, especially if Lance Lynn comes out and has a good game again rolling. Because the Blue Jays have been struggling a little bit, and Baltimore is, they beat the Cubs, but who doesn't beat the Cubs? But they're pretty bad.
Baltimore.
So I think they can get the mojo running right now.
I think that's a great week if you take 3 out of 4 from Baltimore and 2 out of 3 from Houston, and then what do you open up with the Guardians after that? I think if I'm right, you have the Guardians after that, and then that allows you, if you can win 2 out of 3 in that series, that allows you to make up some ground in the division. And before you know it, it's a roller coaster, Fidds. And
it goes Toronto.
You've said it before, and you've said it again.
Like I say, it goes Toronto, Baltimore, Anaheim, Giants, Minnesota, Detroit over the next couple weeks. So they've got.
I thought for some reason the Guardians win there. My bad.
Yeah. So they got a little West Coast swing. Oh, that really sucks too. They've got to go to San Francisco on Monday or Sunday, and then immediately turn around and play on Monday against Minnesota back in Chicago. Ugh, that's a brutal. This is a brutal travel game today too. They were in Houston last night for the night game, and then they're playing today again immediately at home. I don't know. That scheduling kind of sucks in that sense, but okay, good. So this one right here, I think 2 or 3 is good. I think that the way the White Sox are playing, they're banged up, they're not healthy. I think that you can get. I'm thinking that they're going to go probably 4-3 in this stretch, maybe even 5-2 if they can, get a sweep of Baltimore. I think it's possible that they could really sweep Baltimore and take a 4.
Honestly, I'll take either of those outcomes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Again, you're just trying to get to that point where, you're playing Cleveland, the Rockies, the A's, the Royals, the the Rangers, the Royals, the Tigers. You do have a tough little 4-game set against the Houston Astros in mid-August, but then back to Cleveland, Kansas City, Baltimore, Arizona, Kansas City. I mean, that's a lot of games to make up a lot of ground, and plenty of head-to-heads with the Twins, which is how you and Guardians, which is where you make the ground. They have they feels like they haven't played the Twins at all this year, and it feels like it's been since that rain-delayed weird series with Cleveland too. I mean, they're going to be able to answer their own bell and head-to-head matchups, which that's all you can ask for in a division, right? You have a chance to do it yourself.
All you can do is beat the teams that are in front of you, and they have the weakest schedule going forward, and everything's in their favor. Just get back some guys healthy. I think, like I said, I still think they go 5-2. Like Toronto's good, but they've been 5-5 the last 10 games, and the White Sox need a little spark plug, and hopefully Lance gives that to them tonight.
Good. All right, well, let's segue kind of over to the Cubs then now. So now Swo's going to be able to laugh it up because I don't think there's probably anybody that's probably been more of my my shoulder to cry on over the last couple of years, has more than Yump when it comes to the Cubs. And so the Cubs are coming off, actually, and I know that I predicted it on Twitter. Thank you very much. Yes, I did use Ralph Wiggum as my GIF, but Ralph Wiggum is good luck, apparently, because when you predict things with Ralph Wiggum, shit comes true. I predicted the Cubs are going to take 2 or 3 from the Braves when they came into the Braves series. The Braves were on like a double-digit win streak. The Cubs were on a
14 games.
Yeah, what was it? 15?
14.
14-game win streak. The Cubs are on a 10-game losing streak. Something's got to give. So I decided to throw my balls into the ring and make that bold prediction. And as a result, the Cubs did. They took the first 2 games of the series, and then yesterday didn't turn out so well. But Cubs took 2 or 3 from Atlanta. That's a pretty decent win. And now they're going into Pittsburgh tonight. And they're already, like I said, they're down 3-0 already. So the optimism is kind of a little bit waning. But Craig, Caleb Killian, the big Cubs.
It's Pittsburgh. No lead is safe.
It is. It's true. It's true. It is Pittsburgh. But Caleb Killian getting his another start. He's the guy that the Cubs traded Chris Bryant to the Giants for, along with I always forget his name.
No, I think it was a straight up trade just for Caleb.
No, it was another guy. They got another hitter because last year he had a home run. He was really hot when he first started his stint with the Cubs, and everyone's like, "Oh, who? Chris Bryant? Who?" And then the guys kind of like cooled off. It is.
You're right. No.
Hold on. I know. I should know this. It begins with letter C. Canario.
Oh, Canario. Alex Canario. Alexander Canario. Okay, yeah.
And so Canario had a pretty decent start. He's kind of cool. He's hitting like 190 or whatever right now. So everyone that was saying the Cubs won that trade last year, shush your mouth. And Killian now he's had a couple starts. I mean, this is now his like 3rd start, I believe, with the Cubs, and he's got a 7.36 ERA, 1.64 WHIP. He ain't ready yet. Is the problem, and I think everyone want to see where we're at. This is proof where the Cubs are at. The Cubs are nowhere near. Killian is the most major league ready player in the Cubs farm system, and he's getting lit at the major league level, which means he's a year or 2 away from figuring it out. That means the Cubs are probably a year or 2 from having any semblance of a competitor. So Yump, we've been shitting on Jed quite a bit lately. It's frustrating. It's not a rebuild. It's just a retool, quote unquote, right? He's making the rounds on the radio stations now, doing doing which he needs to shut his mouth. He needs to just not do this stuff. In fact, less communication, the better. Like Theo, he doesn't need to go out here and explain himself. Just do your job, because every time he explains himself, he ends up bullshitting and lying and gaslighting the fans. So, Yump, where are you at right now? What's your take on where the Cubs are at? I mean, they're third to last. They're third to last in the National League. And people are saying suck intentionally so they can get the top 3 picks, which don't matter when it comes to baseball drafts, by the way, meatballs. But what are you thinking? Where are you at?
Watching the Cubs is kind of like watching a car wreck. You can't just turn away from what's going on TV. That's the way I feel as a fan right now. But in terms of I think the Cubs are at least 3 to 4 years away. 2 to 3 best optimistic point, but 3 to 4. I understand what the people are saying about rebuilding or retooling and filling up our farm system with the trades we had to do, which, okay, they had to do them. It's done. I didn't like the way things ended the way they did, but it's done and over with. But the continuous gaslighting of front office and ownership to keep telling fans we're going to compete this year and then go out and sign 2 players, one an international free agent, which we don't know how he's going to do in the major leagues because there's that adjustment period, and another you sign a pitcher for 3 years, it's 2 years, and I think in a player option for his third, when that's all you did, and you basically sign a bunch of scrap heap again off the. I mean, David Robertson looks great, but we're trading him. He's 37 years old. He's not going to be here. That part really annoyed me. I just wish the front office would be transparent in what they're going to do. If they would tell us at the beginning of the year, hey, we're not going to win, it's going to take a couple years, I think they'd have got a lot more slack than they're getting right now, even though I don't think a big market team should be rebuilding twice in 10 years. Just a lot of things with the Cubs that just annoy me. They brought up Velasquez today. Is he starting? No. Hayward's starting. And it has nothing to do with Jason Hayward as a player, as a person. He's just not going to be here in the future. So if he's also hitting like 225. Dude should not be starting any games. If he wants to be a mentor to players, great. Have your kids start. Show them what you got. Let them struggle up here. Same thing with Rivas. Rivas should be up here every day playing. Let them show you what they have so you know next year to evaluate your players. And apparently David Ross is not doing that. And people are saying, well, it's not Ross's fault. Well, it is kind of his fault. He took the job as a manager. So, I mean, there's no win-win here. And Jed today on the radio was just another. I think his lawyer speak is really bad compared to Theo's. And like you said, I totally believe he needs to stop talking.
Yeah. I mean, if this is, I mean, Killian is a KB trade. Speaking of KB, by the way, got some really cool news. KB starts his rehab assignment for the Rockies. He's playing here in Vegas tomorrow. So I'm going to be going to the game tomorrow. So I don't like to little weird thing about me. The coach in me still exists, which is I don't like to mess with dudes when they're working. He's here to work. So I'll be sitting with the Bryant family tomorrow during the game. I doubt I'm going to go mess with him. He's got his routine. Again, I'm not, when he was here before during the Cubs big league, right before the COVID shutdown, I actually felt bad. He wasn't playing that day. Or he was playing that day, but he was just trying to get 2 at-bats and then get out. And we actually made the game start like 5 minutes late because him and I were talking in front of the dugout. And they're like, hey, plate meeting's over. You guys waiting on you? I'm like, oh, crap. And I had to go run through the clubhouse to get out, which was kind of a funny. I got lost and ran into the batting cage and the snack room. And I really wanted a snack, but I didn't take any and ended up back in the press box. But so I get to see KB tomorrow. So that'll be kind of fun. I'm going to talk to him a little bit. I might even get like a little bit of I'm curious if he'll, I'm not going to do any sound bites, but I have a couple questions regarding how he's been treated with the Cubs training staff compared to how the Rockies training staff. I know that there has been some conversations, I get the feeling just based on passive aggressive comments that he feels less rushed and a little bit more coddled right now by the Rockies, which makes him feel good. Whereas he might have been pressured a little bit more to go out a little bit sooner with the Cubs training staff. So I'm curious to see what he's going to kind of say about that. But I wouldn't expect KB probably. I don't know. I mean, he was going to be shut down before the All-Star break. So for the Rockies, that's a good thing if he does come back. I want him back just because I'm tired of, because we're going to jump back to the Cubs, this Cubs are better off without Chris Bryant bullshit that you hear from fans. Why? Because he hasn't played as much this year. And so apparently that's what wins the trade. Not what wins the trade in, the 5 years or 7 years in which the Cubs could have re-signed Chris. But just the first 3 months of his time in Colorado somehow proves that the Cubs won the trade because the Cubs got 2 players that aren't major league ready. And until you're contributing at the major league level, you're not freaking Chris Bryant. Win an MVP, win a World Series, Cubs won the trade. Okay, but that's not the word. That's lightning in a bottle. So with that, the Cubs have, where we're at with the Cubs at this point, they are not intentionally. Well, I mean, it feels like intent sometimes. They are throwing out, I guess, what David Ross considers to be his best lineup. It doesn't feel like they're trying. I don't know, Yump. Do you feel like they're trying? It doesn't feel like they're trying with some of these.
No. I don't feel that. David Ross, I'll give David Ross the benefit of the doubt. You've inherited a bad hand in terms of players, but dude, his lineups drive me nuts. Nico Horner, 4 hits one day, sits next. Ride the hot hand. Nico's a young kid. Let him play. It just drives me nuts. And as far as Chris Bryant, another thing I want to touch on was a lot of people are saying the Stars didn't perform. Well, if you look at when they traded him, Chris Bryant made the All-Star team. Mm-hmm. Javi Baez arguably had probably his best year in his career when he was with New York and Chicago. And then Anthony Rizzo was rejuvenated and hit well for the Yankees and even into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Plus 3 players that they traded right there that seemed to be doing fine when they left here. There was never anything to supplement the offense after 2018, whether you want to believe that or not. And for people who keep throwing that Ricketts is not cheap, and Ricketts spent over $200 million, all that money that was added to that payroll was arbitration numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was ever added. I think before Suzuki, Yamato Scalzo was the last positional player we signed to its multi-year deal, and that was for like 2 years, $5 million.
Yep.
So it's just look into this stuff. Go ahead.
I don't know a massive amount about this Cubs lineup because I don't watch this Cubs lineup every day like you guys do. But I do want to touch upon a couple things that Fidds brought up. Now, I have met and
I love KFidds.
the best baseball. Can you hear me? Or did I lose you again?
I filled in the blanks that you loved me. Oh wait,
go ahead. Start over again.
No, I love you. You're one of the greatest baseball minds that I've become friends with. Like, you coach the game and you know the game, and you do. I don't necessarily agree though with the intentionally tanking for a draft pick. And I know the MLB draft is different than the NBA draft and the NFL draft, and there's no sure thing. But you can draft a guy at 3 like Chris Bryant, who's the 3rd overall pick. You can draft a guy at 1 like Adley Rutschman, who looks like he's going to be legit, or Bryce Harper, number 1 overall, is going to be legit. And if you're going to suck, you might as well suck to have that chance for the sure thing, right? And nothing is a sure thing, but the higher you get up in the draft, the more likely it is to be a sure thing. And I don't know what next year's class looks like. But honestly, college baseball ended for me after Mike Martin and Florida State lost to Auburn in that super regional. But if you're going to tank, you might as well tank, right? You might as well draft 1, 2, or 3.
Well, you say that, but Mike Trout was 27th pick of the first round. Like, I mean,
sure, absolutely, and you never know where you're going to get those gems. Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round, 199th overall, right? Like, you're going to find those gems.
With that in mind,
the percentages, you play the percentages, right?
True.
That's what I'm saying.
Right now, we do. Now, I talked about this last year too, and we talked about it on the Pinwheels a lot too. And Yumper, you'll remember all this. We are right now, last year's class and this year's class are the 2 most loaded collegiate classes that you're going to get in baseball history because of the shutdown and the waiver that a lot of college athletes got in going back. So your 1 through 3 on a normal draft year is 1 through 30 this year, because there are actually 20 to 30 legitimate college players right now. And that kid from Texas is a freak, by the way, that could be anywhere from 1 through, I'd say maybe 20, maybe 30 is a little bit hyperbole. I'd say about 20 college players right now. It's kind of a question mark. There's some loaded.
It is, like, and you get that depth with crazy, and I love that. But like, if you're gonna suck, like, we've all sat through rebuilds, and you can say it's a retooling. We know better, right? You've sat through rebuilds. 2016 was the worst year in baseball that I've probably ever experienced as a fan, right? But you drafted Andrew Vaughn at 4. Nick Madrigal went 3. No, Andrew Vaughn went 3. Nick Madrigal went 4. Sorry. And you get a Tim Anderson at 16 or 17, but you just never know. And I like those odds. I like those odds of drafting 1 or 2, where you get the Sidney Crosby, where you get the Patrick Kane. And I know the MLB is a whole different ballgame, but I'm just saying. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there.
Real quick, my question to you, I want to hear you. Do you trust Jed Hoyer with a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd overall pick, considering the last draft pick in the 1st round that he had his hands on that hit was Ian Happ?
Yeah, Ian Happ was the last one that hit.
17. His 1st round pick of this past year, he passed over Colson Montgomery, who I think is going to be an all-star and an MVP, to get
Jordan Wicks.
Jordan Wick, who looks
I hope so. I hope so.
He drafted a youth passer that's like 22 years old, that's getting lit in the minors right now at single A.
Too.
2020 was his 1st overall pick, was Ed Howard, injured, not playing right now. His 2019 is still stuck at single A. In 2018, I forget who 2018. His 2019 draft, there's not a single player from that draft that even has a major league projectability. He actually blew an entire 2019 draft. So that's my question. Do you trust Jed Hoyer with those types of picks? He seems to be really good at trading for other franchise players, using their scouting system and just taking the best from their barrel. Like, hey, I brought this shitty ass bologna sandwich with me for lunch, but you got a snack pack. What do I got to trade you to get that damn snack pack? Here, take my bologna sandwich and my cell phone.
You know how badly I could beat you, right?
Donkey Kong sucks. You know what? You suck. Sorry. So, yeah, what do you got? What do you think?
I'm kind of like torn between it because he did hire Dan Kantrovitz. I think he was from the Cardinals as his scouting director. Jason McLeod is out, but it really doesn't like put me at ease with what they're going to do. One thing though, I will say, like, it's great to get as many prospects as you can, but the thing is with major leagues, there's no Andrew Jones coming through these drafts. Like, you're not, unless you get a
Drew
superstar.
Jones though. Drew Jones absolutely is coming through these drafts.
Yeah, but
his son is coming through these drafts, buddy.
So Drew Jones is going to go through the
that
minors.
That was a bad name to throw out there.
Not really, because Drew Jones is going through the minors.
He's got some time. Yeah, he's not.
You don't have anybody that's impactful like Major League ready that's going to play right away, and that's the difference between Major League Baseball and all the other sports. You have impact players coming straight out, which of course we have more people drafted in MLB, but that's the issue I have. People are like, "Oh, these draft picks." Well, then these draft picks still got to get seasoned and develop. That still puts your timeline at 2 to 3 years. And the Cubs' top 10 farm system fans right now. Caleb Killian's, I think, number 8, and he's the only one that's been in the major leagues. The other ones are either, I think, high A ball, which is telling you it's like 2 to 3 years away. And now that they're talking about trading Wilson Contreras, it's going to be another 3. It's going to be at least 3 to 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you're saying, and the numbers don't.
Is Ivan Melendez from Texas? I'm a big fan of his. Sorry,
I get what you're saying, and the numbers don't lie. But how many minor league at bats did Andrew Vaughn have?
Yeah, but Andrew Vaughn's a freak. He still had some time in the minor leagues, though.
He was a mature college bat, though.
No, he didn't. He didn't. His minor league at bats were in a rehab assignment in Charlotte, right? Like, he came right up to the bigs during that COVID season, and he was the number 3 overall pick. I'm just saying there are those anomalies out there that can happen, and the higher you draft, the better the percentages are. But but the thing is that we're both right. Like, it can go either way.
It can go either way, but it's just higher probability that it's not going to happen like right away.
By the way, he did play. He was drafted in 2019. By the way, he played. He had 3 games at rookie ball, 23 games at Salem. Was that Salem? And then 29 games. And then he had 29 games in Carolina at Advanced A. So he went from Advanced A to Major League Baseball after the 2019 season. And he didn't really put up great numbers either. He was 252 at High A. 253 at regular A. I mean, he was 600 in those 3 games in rookie ball. I think they probably let him play. He got 15 at bats. I'm like, yeah, this isn't fair.
I think Nico came up his for the year he was drafted, but that was because of necessity because Javi got hurt.
But he pretty much skipped all that minor league stuff. You didn't get to see double A pitching.
I bet you could name this stat. I bet you can name this off the top of your head. How many minor league at bats did Bryce have?
Oh, jeez.
Probably none.
I mean, let me see. Hold on. I can pull that up. I actually feel like there were very few. Bryce Harper. You know how many?
Where did he play at Potomac or whatever?
Bryce played at least 200 games, almost 100 a full season down in the minor leagues.
Yeah, he got 486 career minor league at bats, 300 batting average, hit 23 jacks. So basically a regular full season of at bats over the course of however many levels he was at. I don't know how many levels he played at.
Yeah, his first year he was in Harrisburg for 37 games, then Hagerstown for 72 games. So I mean, he played at least 100 games in the minors.
He got called up 5 games in 3rd years at 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, his 4th year as a pro, 5 games into his 4th year as a pro, he got called up. He was hitting 643. You know.
Well, we know the drill too, right? KB would have been called up earlier too if you weren't like playing the arbitration game, right? Like.
True. I read that wrong, by the way. 2011, he played 109 minor league games. 2012, he played 21 games. 2013, he played 4 minor league games. Was called up. So 2013 was his. I think it was a big call up. So really, I mean, Bryce again though, same thing. Like it's not much, not enough for you to make any kind of judgments about Bryce. Same with Vaughn. You know, but when you're drafting a college bat, that's kind of expected. Now, Bryce was a freak. Like, let's all be honest with Bryce Harper, who he was when he was drafted in 2010. You know, the guy skipped his senior year of high school. What would have been a high school senior was the best college baseball player in America as a 17-year-old.
Sports Illustrated cover.
In a wood bat league, by the way. Wood bat
real.
CSN plays in a wood bat league. So, like, he was hitting with woodies. Although he did cost his team a national championship by getting kicked out the ball game by drawing a line in the dirt. But hey, who happens? It happens. And that's the thing with the draft. So major league drafts are a little bit of hit and miss. If you're going with that, and Theo kind of set the new standard by creating, coming out and going, I'm going to draft major league ready offense. We're going to sign our pitchers. The problem is they didn't do much beyond the first round. Most of their picks beyond that didn't tend to hit, and they weren't really depth moves, especially when it came to arms. And a couple of good trades. They did draft a really good arm and a guy by the name of Dylan Cease, but they traded him for a left-hander that cuts his hand doing dishes and did nothing with the Cubs. So, they wasted some of their hits. They threw away accidentally.
Also, Cease would have the stigma when they trade him as a guy who's never going to be anything but a back end closer.
Yep.
And look at him now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Jed's on my shit list like really bad. I don't like the way he handles contracts, and I don't like the way he talks to the media. I think he just lies a lot, and I'm not a big fan of him.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem to, and that's that. We've talked about that before too. He's, he would, was looking this hand misdirection. He's, tells KB one thing, and then as soon as KB turns around, the knife gets jabbed in his back. So, and that's the biggest difference. Jed's trying to I don't know if it's Jed's just trying to get out of the shadow of Theo or whatever it is. But right now, if you were to judge everything based on Theo as the president of baseball operations, since he took over and Theo left, the Cubs are one of the worst teams in all of baseball, period. So if that is your resume, it ain't going too well for you, Jed. So you got a little time because you are carrying the water for your owner who has you lie. And all the stuff that we're upset about, Yumper, you said it earlier, had he have said a rebuild coming last October, the day after, or even better yet, the day after, remember we went on all the media. He did the media tour Monday morning at like 6 a.m., after the trade deadline to go out there and cover his own ass. If he'd have just gone on those shows and instead of trying to cover his own ass, talk about fake contract offers and said, hey, look, we traded these guys, do a quick rebuild, fans stick with us. Fans would have appreciated that. Instead, he's like, we're going to put on a contender, and you got this stupid letter from saying we're going to use all our resources to put a winner on the field, and it's not a rebuild. It's just a simple retool. We'll be right back in it. And then you make two signings, one of which, they were almost like optic signings, and then they tried to sell this. And you got your international player that you signed that hasn't played for a month now, and you've got Stroh, who's been average at best as a starter, inconsistent. Possibly lost his trade value. I don't think anybody wants him. You got Hendricks, who's just not getting it done. They really didn't seem to have much foresight when it came to this. It couldn't afford for anything to go wrong, and everything that has gone wrong is gone wrong. And I think it's the curse of the Brizzo. That is something that we're now doing. The curse of the Brizzo is a thing. And the Cubs, curse of the Brizzo, the Javi let go. You know how I feel about Javi. But the curse of the Brizzo is a real thing. We're gonna coin that, make that a thing here for the next couple years. As long as if the Cubs, because weird shit's happened to the Cubs. It's weird. It's goat stuff. And they treated these guys like shit on their way out and burned the bridge. And they get what they have coming to them. And that includes the owner. And until Tom Ricketts is no longer the owner, the curse of the Brizzo reigns supreme.
Well, to go off that, the Cubs are down 7-0 now. But just one last thing about Jed that seems to be going on Twitter and even on the radio, local radio here. If you're going to criticize Theo for all the things that he left Jed with, but give Jed credit during that success period, you also have to throw some of the blame on Jed because Jed was the GM during Theo's regime. And GM is something that Theo let Jed do a lot of things. Even though Jason McLeod messed up the scouting, Jed was still there. Jed did the infrastructure of the league team. So not just a team, but the organizational thing. He's doing a lot better with having a lot more technology things added and getting more people in place that need to be there. But Jed does have some of the blame for Theo's faults. He's not squeaky clean. And maybe there's a reason why San Diego let him go. He wasn't winning there before he came here. That's for sure. And he won in Boston, but Boston was already laid foundation by Theo when he left. So, I mean, maybe there's a reason why they let him go. I don't know. Right now, Jed hasn't shown me anything that's going to make me really confident in him. I guess I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. Go ahead.
Did you guys see Theo spend his last weekend in Chicago?
Oh,
hanging out in the bleachers, just chilling, man. Just a regular everyday guy. That 2016 team. I know you guys love it. I don't know why this dude isn't replacing Rob Manfred as commissioner of the league. Like, dude seems to genuinely like baseball, right? Like, genuinely love baseball. Where when I think of Rob Manfred, I don't know if he loves baseball. And I know you guys have opinions about Theo and whatever, but he needs to be doing one of two things: either heading up a group like Dave Dombrowski did to have a team in Nashville, but in Las Vegas or somewhere, or he needs to be the goddamn commissioner of the league. And yeah.
Well, he's moving East Coast, and they're saying he wants to be close to Major League Baseball offices. So I think he's being groomed for that commissioner role. But I would love him as an owner. I would love him to put a team together and buy the fucking Ricketts out, if anything. I mean, it's impossible
So
right
Kelly,
now. But...
like, I don't know if you guys have ever had any personal experiences with Theo, but his kids went to preschool at Kelly's church in Lakeview, because Kelly's church is right across the street from Wrigley Field, and he has never been anything but professional and nice and cool. And if that and a dude that loves baseball, if that's the guy that's going to lead the league into the next 40, 50 years, sign me up. I'll take it every single day of the week.
All right, I just had someone. I jokingly made a comment. Still think the Cubs won the KB trade, and someone wrote, "Seeing that KB hasn't played in a month and has 0 homers, I would say absolutely." Oh, okay. So no major league contributions except a negative ERA. Okay, yeah. Killian has done nothing but hurt the Cubs in his appearances. But yeah, they won the trade. Okay.
This person like Patrick Wisdom a lot too.
Apparently, so I don't know. Yeah. I mean, whatever they got to tell themselves. I mean, does this guy follow me? He does follow me. Crap. I'll just revisit that again. This guy's a person. Oh, it looks like based on his profile is all about arguing that the Cubs won all the trades. I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway.
I mean, they won the Javi trade because they just won the Javi trade.
They won the Javi trade because they got rid of Javi.
Yeah, but Javi had a good he played well for the Mets. Like
They got Pete Crow Armstrong out of that one a bit. Pete Crow Armstrong's hurt too.
Yeah, but like it's not like Javi went there and like played like crap. He played well for the Mets.
No, but he took down the clubhouse, and they went from being a first place team in the playoffs to out of the playoffs completely.
Yeah, but Javi's who we thought Javi was. Like I've been telling everybody that that loves Javi. Everybody loves Javi for the tags and the El Mago, but Javi's a clubhouse cancer. And I think the fact that he left Wilson here was the best thing that could have happened for Wilson Contreras, because Wilson was starting to feed into that negativity.
Look at Wilson playing without Javi too. I mean, look at what he's done. And look at even with the struggles the Cubs have had, no one's busting a damn TV. No one's acting like an asshole. Like this isn't it. Again, when there's a cancer in the clubhouse and you remove all the equations, you figured out that was what the cancer was. I mean, it is what it is. But Detroit fans are already done with him because they can't. Only Cub fans can apparently. The magician El Mago, El Mago. El Magoo is even better. He's played misdirection with Cub fans. He's done the thumb trick. Oh, look at my thumb. Okay, I detached my thumb. He's got him wowed because of his tag. So he's fooled Cub fans. He hasn't fooled anybody else. He's not even fooled Detroit fans. So that's going to be interesting to watch. But you can't judge a trade until it plays out. Like again, in 5 years, if KV or Rizzo or Baez hasn't made an all-star team, hasn't done something. I mean, Rizzo right now is on pace to possibly win a damn World Series. He's arguably the best team in baseball. He's a heart and soul in that clubhouse of one of the best teams in baseball. The intangibles that these guys bring to the table, people assume it's just performance on the field, and it's not. It's what these guys do in the clubhouse when they're in the cage, working with these guys and being leaders. Having those guys really make. I mean, this will be the first season. I really doubt the Rockies will get back to 500. Although they did beat the shit out of the Padres the last series. Chris has never played on a team with a losing record in his life. This will be the first time his name has been on a roster of a team that doesn't finish 500 or better, dating back to Little League. Okay. So these are guys that win that's all they do. And so, getting rid of those guys, that's also the loss that we're seeing. Again, it's and Willie's doing great as a leader, but you know what? Let's not pretend like Willie was a big contributor in 2016. They had 2 other catchers, David Ross and our big boy, our big big Grand Slam champ Montero. There were 3 catchers on that 2016 team. It's the same with Javi. Javi was a second baseman on that team. He was hitting like 7th or 8th. Behind Addison Russell. These guys weren't. KB and Rizzo were the dudes. So we'll see. But all this stuff is real fiction until it becomes fact. And speaking of fiction, let's kind of go ahead. We were going to do quicker with the baseball stuff, but it's hard not to talk great baseball. Let's go ahead and shift in now to the big part of the show, which is I'm really excited to talk about. We are in June, and we have now reached the midway point of 2020 in the cinematic releases across the board. One of the big points, you guys are a part of the Tainted Glove show. You guys have done a great job of a new podcast where you guys have, you've had guests on. You guys, Richard Roper, all of our heroes, one of our favorite critics, and you've been able to talk. We really had really good audience participation. You guys had your absolutely fantastic event at the movie theater with the Maverick screening. You guys have really been kind of growing and growing and growing in your following. And so I'm really excited to talk film with you guys because we don't really get a chance to do it together like on a stream and a live conversation. It's mostly over text, which can always be misconstrued, especially when I'm being a jackass and like sending 17 texts in a row because I'm bored and caffeinated and everybody else is busy doing shit. So let's get down to it. First off, before we go there, though, make sure you guys smash the like button. Make sure you give these guys a follow both on their handle. It's Doughboy Swo, right? At Doughboy Swo, and then it's at Lil Yumper, and then it's of course at Yumper and Swo at the show. Is that what the tag is? And then so that's the show. But you guys have something before we even get into our favorite movies of the year so far. Tell us about the new launch that you guys are coming up with. Yumper, you just dropped the trailer teaser even for it. What is this new side project that you guys are going to be pumping out from Yumper and Swo?
Yeah, actually, I got some even more news to go along with that. So I have never seen Stranger Things. I know, Fidds, you went through the seasons, you binged it. You told me to try it out because for those who don't know, I'm a huge Stephen King mark. I'm a big stan for Stephen King. You told me about all the references that are in there, a lot of things from the horror movies since I grew up as a horror nut as a kid. So I decided to watch it. During our text chain between us, our little Tainted Glove text change, you're like, why don't you guys do a review on it since you never watched it? So me and Swo got spitballing, doing some things, and Swo's only watched the first season, but a while ago, so he's gonna go through it again. So we're gonna have a review show we'll try to do every Saturday, where we're gonna go through the Stranger Things episodes. We're gonna start with season 1 since we had to skip this week. But when Swo comes back, we're gonna do season 1, and we have a special guest with us every week, and that is Mr. King Nam from White Sox Twitter, who's gonna be helping us out with that. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to. So far, I love the season, but Swo, I know you're really excited to do this as well.
Yeah, it's super cool. The show has all these weird like Goonies, Gremlins vibes that like I grew up with. So I'm excited to watch it with you guys. But I do need to interject here, and this is movie related. I need to dip out of here because I'm losing connection. But I wanted to give a little gift to Yumper, and then just tell you that the best movie of 2022 still is The Batman, followed very closely by Everything Everywhere All at Once and The Outfit. So those are my top 3. But Yumper, I got a little gift from you and for you, and to help spread this message of this gift, I want to bring in some guest stars because this was a conversation that we had in the pool today while we're on vacation. So joining me, hopping right behind me, guys. Is my family, my in-laws. That's my nephew Brian and my sister-in-law Kim, my brother-in-law Mark. Hello. And can you guys just talk a little bit about our conversation in the pool today and tell me your feelings about a certain movie?
Well, you asked us about Encanto.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you feel about it?
Meh.
It's so not good. It's so not good. Mark, what did you think?
Okay.
I was very underwhelmed.
So it was my wife and I versus these guys. I was trying to defend it, and they just weren't having it. No. So Yumper, you might be right, and we might be the wrong ones.
I might definitely buy your family members a drink, Swole.
But that's my gift to you guys. But I am losing connection, and I don't want to dog it.
Take care, guys.
So I'm gonna finish watching this sunset and go with my family. But I love you both, and thank you for this enlightening baseball conversation.
Thank you, Swo. Thanks for coming on, bud. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you guys in the text later.
Enjoy some
TV, man.
Bye.
All right, bud. All right, so let's get right into it. So we got that all got to plug that. I wish we could have gotten his top 5, but you guys will have to throw that top 5 on your next on your podcast as well. So we are in 2022. We've had quite a few releases, and it's kind of funny for me. I go into my AMC Stubs list, like tickets over the last 6 months, and it gives me a nice little rundown of what I've gone to see. along with my Thor Love and Thunder ticket that I've already pre-purchased and my Elvis ticket I've already pre-purchased for next week. That's actually this weekend is Elvis. I'm pretty stoked. So we want to do our top. I want to go through the top so far films, top 5 films that we have seen so far in the 2022 year. It's been much better than last year as far as the theaters being open consistently. Movie fans are starting to go back a little bit. It's always a good thing when, you find yourself getting together with some friends and saying, let's go catch a flick. Or go to the show, as you would say, if you're from the South Side. So for you, we'll go back and forth. I guess we'll start with our 5th favorite movie of the year, and we'll just kind of take it down from 5 to 1. But what is your 5th favorite movie that actually, you know what? Before we even get to that, what are some honorable mentions that you might say just didn't make the cut, but we're right there on the precipice? But perhaps it was a performance by the supporting actor or actress that drove you nuts and you wanted to karate chop their face and it ruined it for you.
As far as this year, I would say I know Doctor Strange was got some mixed reviews. I thought there was some good in that movie that could be in a top 5, I guess, just from what was been released so far. It's not a Morbius movie. I really enjoyed that movie to a certain degree, but there's certain aspects of it I didn't like, which is why it's kind of outside of the top 5 for me. What about you?
I have a couple. I mean, The Tragedy of Macbeth, I would say that came out in January. That one is kind of on the outskirts. I really did enjoy The Northman quite a bit. That one, it's actually on Peacock Network already, which is great if you'd like to see it. But it's basically the actual inspiration for the real Hamlet story. But it's obviously Vikings. And I thought that was a great film. It was exciting. Really a great end sequence. Doctor Strange, I thought was real enjoyable. I had fun with that. So that one kind of falls in there. But those are kind of on the outside looking in for me. So, and those might be some of your top 5 as well. But for you, I mean, I guess let's go with number 5, right? So what's your 5th favorite movie of 2022 so far?
This one's kind of a cheater because this movie actually came out. It's actually a 2-part movie. It actually came out in the last week of December. So it's kind of like an in-betweener that was released. It was on a Netflix, and it's actually a Oriental movie. It's Rurouni Kenshin, The Final Chapter, which for those who don't follow manga, I used to be a big manga fan with Rurouni Kenshin. It's about a wandering samurai who reverses his blade when he refuses to kill people. And just basically goes and helps out villagers. It's very close to the manga from what I read, and it's actually excellent acting, and it's actually on Netflix right now. It's a 2-parter, and the story is really well done, and it's a lot of action. So if you can check that one out, I would highly recommend that one. I know I told you about the first one when I first saw it. I think it was like 4 years ago when I messaged you about it, but this one's actually pretty good.
Okay, so that's number 5 for you?
Yep.
What is it? So again, again, you said that was it was made in which country? Japan.
Japanese movie.
Very, very cool. Okay, so very nice. For me, again, this is such a tough. It's tough to order this list, but for me, I would say my 5th favorite film of 2022 is Top Gun Maverick. I've seen it 4 times already in theaters. It's a throwback. I know you guys reviewed it on your most recent show, and we talked about it on our most recent show as well with me and Aloha. It just is a throwback to the summer blockbuster. It's not too it doesn't make you think too deep. It's balls and brawn and emotion, and it lets it just sit out there. We see a lot of films these days that are trying to preach and be didactic, and there's some sort of message in there. And this goes so vanilla that we don't know who even the enemy is. Like, it's just an unnamed enemy. We're not trying to blame the Chinese or the Germans or the Russians or the Serbian or whoever, Ukraine, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just an unknown villain that happens to have snow on the ground wherever they're at. So it just happens to be, it's more or less, fast planes, great camera work, really what would be revolutionary camera work in the fact that these people all flew in these jets. I think F-16s in the back. They weren't allowed to touch the controls. Federal law prohibits all that stuff. But when you see in the film, they're reaching the G's. Each of these actors actually were their own cinematographer. They were the ones that set the camera in the cockpit. It was an IMAX camera that was built to be about this big. It's about maybe 12, 16 by 10 box that is in there. And they hit record. They do their dialogue. Someone reads the dialogue while they're going. The pilots are flying, and someone reads the dialogue, and they respond to the dialogue, and all that acting. That was technologically an achievement, great. And I could tell you, man, on the big screen in a loud Dolby format, one of the reasons I keep going back 4 times, it is like the original Top Gun. Anytime it's on TV, you can just watch it. This one has that same kind of feel. I could just, if it was on TV, I just keep it on. It's fine. I like it. And those jet sequences were, I almost feel like, what's her name in Ricky Bobby when she's like, oh, I love it when they go fast. And she's like, oh, I love that. And that's how I feel in the theater, because those dogfight sequences are just so rad. The movies, the movie itself, it follows the mostly typical blueprint, which is fine. It's okay. It doesn't have to be preachy. It doesn't have to tell us, to love, be nicer to, your puppy at home or something. It just is like, let's go. Boom. And that I really did appreciate that about the film. And it was a blast. So that's my number 5.
Yeah. So you took my number 2. Yeah, it's okay though. I figured we're gonna kind of like mesh on these movies, some of these movies, because I think we have certain tastes. But for a Top Gun, totally agree with everything you said. Love the fact that they actually took an old story and they didn't mess it up. If you listen to our last pod with the rebooting and remaking of movies, this is actually a great sequel, and I think this actually is better than the original. Although the original does have a small, a large place in my heart. But this movie actually was perfectly done. Again, like you said, the actors had to actually learn how to fly their own jets. They had to go through basic training for that, which they said was hell, that Tom Cruise already went through a number of times. That part was cool where they got the footage. So all that footage is actually shot by the actual actors. Which I thought was cool. Miles Teller is a dead-on doppelganger for Goose. Excellently played. He's a horrible singer though, as was Goose. But it was a great movie. And Jennifer Connelly, of course, how can you not love Jennifer Connelly? So I really like that movie.
Ageless.
Mm-hmm.
So what was number 4 for you?
So number 4 is I have a little clip from it. It's actually something that me and Jen saw, was something my wife really wanted to see. So I want you to listen to this.
Hello, Dave. Lionel! We all have writer's block, But that's my fucking song. That's my fucking song. You understand what I'm saying? I like that song. No. I love that song. It's one of my favorite songs. I love singing that song. Love that song.
So it's a wacky movie, not the greatest movie. It's called Studio 666. It's actually a Dave Grohl movie with the Foo Fighters and a fictional aspect where they go to this house that's haunted. That was made, a previous band basically make this song that it's supposed to raise demons and whatnot. But that part is actually Lionel Richie coming out when Dave Grohl is trying to sing Hello, Are You There? And he comes out of nowhere and just basically says, get your own fucking song. It's pretty comedic. It's also good to see Taylor, before he passed, of course. But it's just a goofy, it reminds you a lot of Evil Dead, like a lot, because it's not to be taken seriously. It's a really goofy movie, and it's really gory. So I would check that one out. So that's the one that I really enjoyed this year.
Okay. For me, I'm going to go ahead and play the clip from, it's a real short clip from my number 4. And this is a tough one, man. My I'd say 3 and 4 were really tough for me on this one. But here's a brief clip from my selection of the 4th best film I've seen so far in 2022.
Alexa?
After I get this ad complete, as I was going to pull it up, but I'll just give you a hint. This dialogue is going to really focus on a very legendary bear, but here you go.
Thank you. Can you just stop stalling and answer the question? What is your 3rd favorite movie of all time?
Paddington 2.
What? Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, Paddington 2. Connect those dots. I mean, I don't want to be a snob, but
I cried through the entire thing. It made me want to be a better man.
Bullshit, Mom! Paddington 2 is incredible.
So if you don't know what that is the unbearable weight of massive talent with Nicolas Cage playing Nicolas Cage, where he is hired by a drug cartel individual, a person associated with the drug cartel in, I believe, is it Spain? And so he goes there for a birthday party, and he befriends the gentleman that hires him, which is played by Pedro. Pedro
Pascal.
Pedro Pascal, who's hilarious. Nick Cage is great in it. You guys know how much I love Nick Cage. I said the Nick Cage chair at Larry's. I mean, when you and I went to dinner there, I showed you the Nick Cage couch at Larry's when we went to dinner there when you were here in town. But Pedro Pascal steals the show. He's hysterical. There's this whole scene where he's trying to jump this wall. They're tripping on acid, and he's trying to jump this wall, and he's like, I can't. And he's like hanging on. He goes, he's trying to hang onto his arm because he thinks he's gonna fall. And he's like, you're too heavy. He goes, I know. My mom says my head is too large for me. Like I have a heavy head. And he this whole thing, and it's just they're just so silly together, and it's a stupidly funny movie. And even my fiance was laughing. She's like, this is actually funny. I didn't think she was gonna like it. There's a scene where they switch shoes. And she thought that part was the funniest part of the whole film because they were like, one of them was a set of designer shoes. And she laughed. She thought she recognized it immediately, as those are not comfortable. So I thought that was really funny. But Nicolas Cage is great. He plays a caricature of himself. Obviously not the same. His daughter in the film is actually played by Kate Beckinsale's daughter. Crazy. His real life, he's got a real son by the name of Kal-El. He's got children, but he's a regular stay here. So he was actually very, very moderate. I think it's a very moderate performance of the real Nicolas Cage. He's actually wilder than he is in the movie. But great film, really funny. If you get a chance to see it, definitely go. Have you seen that one yet? Have you gotten to see it yet? Nope.
No, it's on my list to see. I have it on the list to see.
Buy it as soon as it comes on iTunes or anywhere to buy. I'm buying it. It's one of those. It's a watch over and over again one because it's really funny. So,
is it on a streaming network right now? Is it on? I thought it was on. It's not on Prime. Amazon?
Is it on Prime yet? Let's see here. It is available on. Yeah, you can buy it for $20 now.
Okay, I might watch that tonight since I'm not gonna watch the Cubs after this. I should definitely want to check it out. It's kind of funny that he makes fun of himself, which is, especially since the Nick Cage stuff has been going around about him taking horrible roles.
Mm-hmm. And it explains it. Actually, it explains in the film, or it's at least his personal excuse as to why he took so many bad films. You'll see when you watch it. It's great. It's him making fun of himself quite a bit. At least the oversaturation of it, like some of those movies that he made, which were so bad. Although Pig was fantastic. If you've seen Pig, which is it's a guy basically that raids a pig who's a former chef, and he raises him for the truffle. And someone takes his pig and beats the hell out of him one day, and he goes basically like not John Wick. Yeah, he goes kind of John Wick. Kind of a combination of John Wick and Liam Neeson on the dude trying to find the dude that stole his pig.
That premise is just awesome.
It's called
Stole My Pig. So my number 3 is actually a movie close to Swole's heart.
It's a girl at home, alone. She answers a wrong number and starts talking with the killer, who makes her play a game. Would you like to play a game?
So Scream, I know I got mixed reviews, but I thought it was actually a very good reboot to the new Scream series that's coming out. It had brought back the old cast and used them, I thought, in a very good way with Dewey, Courtney Cox, and Sydney. I can't think of her name right off the top of my head right now. Neve Campbell. And I thought it integrated them well with the new cast. So you see the story going into a new direction. I thought they used the events out of the previous movies and how they had an effect with the story here and how everything kind of like copycat, which I think was great. I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to the next one. I know we had an argument with Neve Campbell not coming back, but I mean, it's unfortunate, but I mean, it's something that, I hope they take good care of Wes Craven's, his baby. And I think they did a good job in the first one.
Okay. And so if you're wondering what we were discussing, we had a little discussion about cause she's going to come back in the 6th, apparently for now, because she didn't feel like the offer was commensurate with what she's earned. And it really did. It actually, as we kind of started talking it out too, I started to see how, for me, when you look at the contract, you look at a contract that they're getting, and she actually got hosed quite a bit early on in the franchise. She didn't get anything beyond her contract. She didn't, or her actual salary. She didn't get any kind of gross or net points in the film. So no matter what success the Scream franchise had early on, she didn't get a dime for it. So they do owe her a little bit. And seeing that, I know in Scream 3 she did get some of the points. I know in Scream 4 she got some of the points, but she's looking for something that's commiserate with her. And so we did talk about equal pay. And for me, whoever who is the lead, that's where, we're going to play probably the most, who's got the most screen time. But you guys made a great argument for her. And, I think I've switched my perspective. I think that they need to, if, it's unfair to her. She is the face of the franchise. So I do stand corrected on that one. So don't let Swo know that though. Speaking of Swo though, for me, I did enjoy Scream. Scream was also on my outside looking in. So that was, I did. Scream 5 is very good. It's a fun, it's the Scream franchise looking at reboots in a sense too. So it's fun that they made the new rules of the retool. Hey Jed, the reboot tools or whatever. So for me, my third favorite film of the year, and I'll go ahead and play this clip from it. You'll recognize it probably immediately, but this is Swo's favorite film of the year. So my third favorite film. This is a quick little cut.
You're gonna die. Oh, no. Nobody. No! Oh, this is not how this was supposed to go. I had it all planned out.
And so did we. And so Swo's favorite movie, yes, The Batman is my third favorite film of the year. It was really tough, between that and the Nicolas Cage film. But The Batman was just, to me, it was a David Fincher meets Batman film, dark, gritty, takes place over one weekend. And a lot of the people that didn't like that dark, gritty Batman. And that's fine. And that's to each their own. But I love the fact this was a long, almost near 3 hour film that was a slow burn and really, really captured the grittiness of a young Batman still figuring out. I can things into this franchise. I know that they're going to do a musical version of the Joker sequel. The Joker sequel is going to go with who did they say was going to play? Lady Gaga, your favorite. Lady Gaga will be in the new Joker 2, which is going to be a musical. I think apparently according to Todd Phillips, which would be weird, but I got to trust Todd Phillips. This Batman, I'm looking forward to so much more in this new Batman universe. That is it Matt Vaughn? I always get the Vaughns mixed up. Reeves. Matt Reeves, sorry. Reeves and Vaughn. Yeah. So it's Matt Reeves. And I really did dig this. There's even some weird tie-ins to like some of the TV show stuff on HBO. The character at the beginning when he's fighting the gang, the kid that has the half face paint is actually the same actor that plays Robin, Jason Todd, I believe, actually, or not Jason Todd, maybe plays Robin on the Titans television show. Same plays the kid in the Batman. So could very well be Robin that we got a little taste of in that little sequence. I enjoyed it. The grittiness. I thought that I always was in on Pattinson as Batman. I always thought that he would play a very good, wealthy billionaire. He's got the look of what a billionaire looks like these days, besides Elon Musk, who's kind of does so many different, the young, thin, yoga, that type of body, as opposed to like the swole Ben Affleck Batman, which is very popular, especially with other stuff. But I thought it was great. I'm looking forward to seeing more from the Penguin, which I thought was a fantastic little. You got Turturro, Zoe Kravitz plays a fantastic Selena Kyle, just smoking. And just the cast across the board, I thought it was a very good film. I know Swo's seen it like 75 times. I think I've seen it 3 times, maybe 4 now that it's been on. Because again, when it comes on, when I put it on HBO, I'll just throw it on and just do whatever I'm working at home. So that would be my 3. So for you, what's your?
Well, you kind of took away my thunder, man. You took away my top 2 already.
Yeah, you like it for different reasons, though.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I knew we were going to overlap in certain movies. The reason I like this movie a lot is because like you said, you summed it up perfectly, like a David Fincher film. In all the Batmans we watched, like Batman never really gets to use his detective skills. He's always said he's the world's greatest detective, and in this movie, I think it encapsulates that. It's a murder mystery with superheroes, and I think Robert Pattinson, I know he gets a lot of crap for the Twilight series, but anybody who hasn't seen Robert Pattinson after Twilight has not been following Robert Pattinson. Like, he's taking great roles. The Lighthouse with William Dafoe, check that movie out. Like, he's taking roles to distance himself from Twilight, and he's a very accomplished actor, and I think he's very talented. I think he plays Batman very well. Colin Farrell as a Penguin was something that was like remarkable. The way I mean, you wouldn't picture Colin Farrell doing a great job, especially with all the prosthetics. You know, the movie was long, yes, but it was a nice slow burn. Also, Paul Dano as the Riddler, great job. It kind of had a lot of like Fincher vibes to it. And also, I cannot get Paul Dano out of my head from The Sopranos. I don't know if you've seen the episode of The Sopranos where he's AJ's best friend, one of his best friends. But they made a meme out of it, of him and AJ in a car. And instead of AJ, it's Batman asking him, "So are you the Riddler?" and him looking at him like, but yeah, it's I really enjoyed the movie. I thought the action was there. I thought the story was great. John Turturro, I love everything he does as well. Matt Reeves really hit a home run on this one, and I'm looking really forward to the next one to see how they're gonna, carry their story. And your boy was in there, the person you're very excited to have met, Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon, and I thought he did a great job as well.
Best pal.
Yeah. Oh, also, just to go off, Andy Serkis as Alfred. I think Teresi had a good point when he was talking about it with me, how, this one, they show how Alfred is not just the butler. He's the person that, is going to show him something. It's kind of like a little bit of Gotham. And he's going to show, he shows him why he does everything for him. Mm-hmm. Why it's like kind of like a tragic story with Alfred. Like his whole point is to protect Bruce or Batman, and he tells him why why he took this job, why he does what he does for him, and he kicks him and gives him the kick in the ass more than the other Alfreds do, more than Michael Caine did.
Mm-hmm. And I love the backstory that you have with this Alfred too. That there's some time in the he was talking about his I think he said His Majesty's Secret Service or something like that. There's some background where why Alfred was hired in the first place. Alfred does things. He knows he's a guy that can get things done. He's more than just a butler. And they really allude to it, which really opens up the universe as well. Because you can tell a story about Alfred too. You could jump. I know that there's a couple shows that have kind of tried to do that, but it's a wide open universe to talk about. Like how did Alfred, because he's obviously older than, he's probably older than even than Bruce Wayne's father, Thomas Wayne. So that's going to play into a really interesting kind of, they opened up they left that little nugget in there for that as well. And there's so many different ways this can go as far as the universe is concerned, not to be mistaken with Flashpoint that's coming out, if it finally does come out. I know that they did say that they will be moving on after this film so it looks like it's going to get released, but after this film, Ezra Miller's out officially. I think that they just kind of, they've leaked that to the press. So there'll be no more Ezra Miller as the Flash. You know what? It's kind of like Rhodey. You can switch out somebody for Ezra Miller. He was just, he really hasn't been that integral in the DC universe. So in that case, we're going to get some Michael Keaton Batman soon, and we can, we'll deal with it, cross that bridge. But that is something we just saw too, that's going to be his last Flashpoint when it comes out later. Is it this year? I think.
Yeah.
We're going to be the hopefully not the end of Ezra Miller's career, but if he can't keep his, he's going off a little. I don't know what's truth and what's reality, but I know that his
needs help.
Volatility has been a problem. Yeah.
I wonder if they'll bring back Grant Gustin as maybe Barry Allen.
That could be.
But yeah, Alfred, his thing was he failed to protect Bruce's dad. Mm-hmm. That's his big thing, and that's I think was a great little tidbit they threw in there. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Flashpoint. I hope. I'm a big Michael Keaton Batman guy, but it's unfortunate with Ezra Miller. He just needs to get help, and hopefully he can get help before we have another Hollywood tragedy story going on.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
All right. For me, my number 2 film of 2022. This one actually probably might be a little bit of a shocker for those of you that have not been paying attention, but I have talked about it. I actually wrote a review on our taintedglove.com revolving this around this movie in this film or whatever. But if you haven't seen it, here's a quick little clip from the film. I'll just do a quick one from our main character, who is just fantastic in a film that basically takes place in one setting the entire time, and it's dialogue-based thriller.
I studied for decades to be a cutter. I used to cut on the Row.
The Row?
Savile Row.
Where's that, North Addison?
It's in London. A quarter of a mile in which the greatest craftsmen in the world all ply their trade. I apprenticed there for years before they allowed me to open my own shop.
Why'd you come here then?
The war.
What, crash bomb your place?
Worse, they're called blue jeans. After the war, things were quite poor in England. Not a lot of men could afford well-made things. So these blue jeans became all the rage.
And so that film is The Outfit. And that's just a brief conversation between the main protagonist and the young man who eventually he's going to have to take care of as a shot. It's basically a film that's he's a cutter, which is not a tailor. He cuts literally the suit. So he's the accurate, like perfect, person that creates a suit, not just, a tailor just changes the sizes, whereas he actually cuts it. And he's a drop for the mob in Chicago. So it's it is based in Chicago. It's a Chicago mob film. It's The Outfit, which is the Chicago mob's nickname. And he's just one of the drops. And one night, one member of the outfit or one member of the crime syndicate gets shot. It's being chased by the cops, being chased by the outfit. And they come to his shop where he has to use his wiles, if you will, to finish the night alive without losing everything, and to take care of the young lady that he's kind of taken a shining to as like a daughter figure in his life. And our main character, the cutter, he has his own past as well. And so it's a great dialogue-based thriller. If you haven't seen it, it's also available on Peacock. Peacock dropped a couple really good streaming with that and The Northman, but it's a great film. Like I said, it's character-driven, it's dialogue-driven, but it is one of the more perfect films I've seen over the last couple of years that I really enjoyed it. I've watched it a couple times now. And, the main character of The Outfit, if you've seen Dunkirk, you would know who Mark Rylance is. But Mark Rylance is a incredible British actor. If you've seen Dunkirk, he's the gentleman that takes the two boys on his boat to go help rescue people during the Dunkirk rescue. He's in Ready Player One. He's the deceased game creator. So he's a fantastic British voice. His voice is just
British Spies.
Oh yeah, he could just read me any book and I would just it's perfect. So great performance by him. And it's kind of funny if you look at the cast of The Outfit, it also includes Dylan O'Brien. Now if you're a fan of the movie Bad Santa, Dylan O'Brien is in Bad Santa as a little kid. He's the kid that Bernie Mac catches shoplifting in the store and takes away the kid's like his I think it's like an iPod or something, and like basically robs the kid because he catches him stealing. So he's one of the gangsters. Zoe Dutch plays the main character as well. And Zoe, we've seen her. What are some of the films that she's been in? She's Why Him? She's the girlfriend in Why Him. She plays the blonde girl in Zombieland Double Tap. She's the funny. She plays that part really well too because she's actually very, very intelligent. So that's a great one though. So you get a chance to see that. The Outfit with Mark Rylance is I think it's going to get Best Original Screenplay. I know this isn't a film that you loved a lot, Swo. I know that on your most recent podcast you actually said that you thought it was overrated. But the Graham Moore, who wrote and directed this film, who actually was raised on the North Side from Chicago. Hey, give him some love. He went to Chicago Laboratory Schools and went to Columbia, graduated. But he was a writer originally on the TV series version of 10 Things I Hate About You. And then he wrote, you didn't actually, you were talking about wrong movie. He wrote the screenplay for The Imitation Game. I thought for some reason I was doing the Russell Crowe movie that you hated the other day that you mentioned on your podcast last time. But
Beautiful Mind.
Beautiful Mind. Yeah. He wrote The Imitation Game.
That was me. I hated that movie.
Yeah. So, but the dialogue is great. So this is probably going to win Best Original Screenplay or be a nominee for Best Original Screenplay. My number one film might win Best Original Screenplay though. So that one's going to be a question mark. That either one makes me happy, but definitely go see The Outfit. That's my number 2 film of 2022. So drum roll, please, for our final choices for this year's so far best films we've seen in 2022. Yumper, what is your favorite film thus far of 2022?
Well, you already took it from me, my friend. My favorite film was The Batman.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. Like I said, we can talk Batman forever. But as far as The Outfit, that's another movie that I've actually have in my queue list. I haven't had time to watch it. Swole's been pumping that movie up to me as you. And Zoe Deutch got she's actually the daughter of Leah Thompson, is McFly Marty McFly's mom in Back to the Future, which I think is pretty funny. But yeah, the Batman is actually my favorite movie of the year. My list might be changing after I watch these two movies because pretty much sold me on both of them. The Nicolas Cage movie and the outfit. So let me hear your number one. I might have to update my list for this one.
Swo, just to touch up, that's my sixth best. That was on an outside looking in top 5 films. So yes, The Northman was sixth on my list. I would put it sixth. So yeah, with you took the Batman. For me, let me go ahead and pull up a quick clip from my number one. My number one is honestly, it's a film that to me stood out as highly original. Again, we live in a world where everything that we see is a sequel or it's a comic book film, and it becomes a little bit tiresome. You kind of get tired of it a little bit, and there are some scenes where you want to look at things and you're not entirely sure, is this really creative or not? But this is a quick scene from my favorite film of the year.
Okay, sir, that's enough.
You're hearing the sounds. All right, I'm trying to get this screen share, but the screen share is kind of messing with me right now. Let me see here if I can do this right. No, I didn't do it right. Gosh darn. Oh, hold on. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna go and blast this scene for us. So let's see here. Let's do a share screen, and it would be screen number 2. Nope. Okay, this is messed up. No. Status indicator. I don't even know what some of these are. All right, so this isn't working out as well as I had hoped. I'm trying to share my screen and it's not letting me share my screen.
Why you do the technical part? Shout out to Brian S. He left a little comment about our latest episode, which was hot takes for Yumper and Swole. Just finished your latest episode. Good stuff. Swole was getting a smack in his sack for his Coen brothers take. Swole not a big fan of the Coen brothers. You hear us argue about that one.
Well, I can't use that scene for some reason. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick dialogue scene instead. So, God, it's just such good martial arts. Gosh darn it. All right, here we go. I think this might be.
You can still turn around and avoid all this. Please. Be kind. It's too late to wait. Don't say that. Did you see that? Check this out there. What song is that? Thank you for coming. That's very funny. Yeah. 尽管离家让我心碎。
I forgot it's in subtitles.
I'm about to say, it would be nice if you showed this film.
I wish I could show you guys the film itself. It's a brief clip. It's everything everywhere all at once. And I actually just got emotional watching that scene because it's a pivotal moment. But it's the most inventive film I've seen in a few years. Again, it got me right there. That little quick. I know that most of you, if you haven't seen the film, you're looking at that. You're probably listening, going, "What the hell is that?" But it is. I mean, again, that part right there gets me emotional. It is a drama, science fiction, comedy, martial arts, film about family, immigrants, and how we try and build a life for ourselves and the decisions that we make. And when we're making a decision for ourselves, or are we making decisions, like every decision that we make in our lives has a result. And, we talk about multiverses, and we get this all the time with the Avengers and, now with Flashpoint and all this stuff. But this film took the idea of multiverses and it really started it in the idea that something is destroying all of the multiverses across time. And it starts with a decision made by our main character, her name's Evelyn, played by the incredible Michelle Yeoh, who, if you've seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or most recently, in fact, a couple of the actresses from Shang-Chi she's in Shang-Chi. And so Michelle Yeoh's incredible. And then it's Ke-Huy Quan. You would know him if you've seen Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom or Goonies. He is Short Round in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. He is Data in the Goonies. And he is the husband in the film. He's fantastic. It's his return to film. His first really film since he played. He was in those two films as a child. He actually left the industry because of the stereotypes. He came back after seeing Crazy Rich Asians and said, let's go ahead. There's much more representation in film. I'd like to go ahead and be in this. So he came back in a big way. I think best supporting actor, probably going to be, he's my pick for it. I hope he wins it. I really want him to win best supporting actor. Michelle Yeoh should get best supporting, best actress nomination. Stephanie Hsu plays Joy, the daughter. Also fantastic. She's also in Shang-Chi. And then the ageless James Hong makes an appearance as Gong Gong, which is their maternal grandpa, Evelyn's father. And then Jamie Lee Curtis also plays an important role in the film. And it's just the idea of the decisions that we make and how, when you get further away from a special or an important decision in your life, how you look back and you wonder, if I'd have just made a different choice that day, would my life be better? And when you have family, when you have someone that you love, when you have people that are in your life that are special to you, I'm getting emotional just talking about it, that are special to you, when you make a decision, would you take that back? And I think of my life and your Yumper, you can think of your life. Was there a moment in your life that you went back that maybe it felt catastrophic? It feels catastrophic sometimes because of the reverb, but without that moment, you don't have your wife and your child. And in my case, I don't have my fiance and the life that we live and we'll spend together. And I think about that. And would I go back and change anything? And I wouldn't, I wouldn't change a thing about my life if it meant not being with who I'm with today in the way that I'm with her today. She's everything to me. And I know your family and your wife and your child are everything to you. And when you watch this film and you realize that, sometimes we take that decision for granted, and down the line, the further we get from it, we minimize it, and we don't realize how integral that was, how linchpin a moment in our lives that it put us where we're at. And sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side. Sometimes life isn't better. It's different, and it might appear to be better, but the here, the now, the everything, everywhere, all at once is where you're supposed to be. And it's where you want to be because you don't want to change a damn thing about it, because that would require losing everything that you love most. And so this film really asks that question. It's about family. It's about choices we make. And it's about being our best self, even when we don't feel like being our best self, and not taking ourselves for granted. And just, in the end, and again, the husband, Waymond says it. He says, just be nice to each other. Just be nice, because you don't know what someone else is going through at that moment. And Jamie Lee Curtis is part of that. Of course, it's weird as shit. There's it's still a silly, guys. There's a nunchuck fight with dildos. There is a scene where the only way to get your special power, because again, you can download the consciousness and the skills of your other selves from other dimensions, but you have to do weird things outside of the ordinary to do it, like get paper cuts between each finger, or in one case, shove something up your butt. Yep. And the only way to get your kung fu skills is to have something shoved up your butt. So incredibly funny. There's a scene where one of the multiverses where mankind evolved with hot dogs for fingers and can play the piano with your toes, with your feet. So it's just so weird too. At the same time, it's not. It's just so inventive. And I mean, I guess you can tell I get kind of hung up talking about it, because it's to me, it's one of the better films I've seen over the last couple of years. And it really did challenge me to look at my life and take inventory and know that where I'm at, mistakes and all, warts and all, fuck ups and all, successes and all, I'm exactly where I want to be right here and right now. And sometimes we lose sight of that when we get stuck in the grind of everyday life. So that's why it really, really resonated with me. And that is my number one film of the year.
You know, Fidds, like your description of that, of how this movie made you feel, like what memories it brought you back onto, is like one of the reasons why me and Swole do the show. Like movies are so much more than just characters on the screen. Like we like to talk about how it made us feel, like what memories did it make us think about, like what did it make us think of anything in our lives, like what were we doing that was so significant during that movie. And I'm sorry, I read Brian's thing saying it's better than The Natural. But stuff like that is the reasons why me and Swole do at the show. And like it's the epitome of like what the way movies are, in our lives. And you had me sold when you said James Hong. If Lo Pan's in a movie with Michelle Yeoh, I'm in. So this might actually take priority today. I might actually watch this today, and check it out. I've heard good reviews about it. Yeah, you're not the only person that's told me about it. I've heard other people watched it and said they loved it. It's just something I haven't got around to getting to. Been so busy with everything else, but I definitely will watch that tonight and let you know my opinion on it. It sounds very interesting, and like we talked about this on the show too. Like, I think right now, like superhero movies are great, but people are kind of getting a little fatigue from it. I think another perspective in terms of multiverse is actually something that would be pretty interesting to check out. That's not superhero related, so I would definitely check this out tonight for you.
Just jumping back to the early parts of the show tonight, because we're going to put a bow on this here in a second. I'd just like to point out that Josh Harrison hit a 2-run homer to give the White Sox a 3-2 lead in this ball game after some of the debates that I was going on earlier today, and your boy Shane thinking that he should be dumped, let alone even play. And look at that, hits a 2-run jack, helps the White Sox a little bit. I know Lewis Robert has also hit a jack, I think, today too. White Sox are now up 5-2. Is it 5-2 at this point? I haven't even looked at this.
Yeah, it's 5-2.
5-2 White Sox. On the heels of what would be a lead-changing homer from Harrison, who is still hot. Still hot. He's 1-for-1 with a 2-run jack. He's really kicking it. So, sorry, I just wanted to do a little victory lap right there. Real quick. I'm gonna trot with Harrison on that. But you're right, those Yump, about the films, what they're here for, and we don't, me and Pete don't get a chance to talk about a ton on here, but. If there's anything other than the game of baseball in my life that's been as consistent as anything besides, baseball and my faith and my, my family, has been films. Faith, family, and films, I guess, right? And the field, baseball. But films are our escape. And I think in this time period, more than ever, whether it's a pandemic or whether we're just hitting, it's a real tough time, I think, for a lot of people across the country and even the world. And to be able to take a few minutes to escape and just turn the lights off and just, unplug and not worry about what we normally worry about. And that's where I really do enjoy films that aren't trying to be too preachy about today. I kind of wanted to escape that. I kind of wanted to leave and be challenged in other ways. I want to be wowed. I want some spectacle. I do want to go see P.T. Barnum's Circus. I want to give my nickel to sit with the groundlings, or my haypenny to sit with the groundlings and see something that entertains me and takes me away from just the daily doldrums of whatever we're seeing. And I think that we need that in our society. And when the lights go down and Nicole Kidman ruins everything for us, sorry, I had to throw that one in there with the stupid AMC trailer thing. Please switch that AMC if you're listening. It is what we, it's what makes it so great. And it takes us back. It reminds us, it jolts us, it kicks us in the gut sometimes. Sometimes we want to cry. Sometimes we need to cry and we haven't cried in a while. So we go watch something that's going to knock us down. And sometimes we need to be overjoyed. Sometimes we just need to think, what is it going to be like one day? Watch Blade Runner or something. It's fun and it's enlightening. So, I could talk about this with you for probably all night if we did. I mean, we could jump through genres and just go down. And that's what, one of my favorite conversations. Even, I just got back from Rochester, went to go meet my fiance's father in person for the first time. I did do the video, ask for his hand, his permission to propose, but I'd never hung out with him. But I also got to hang out with some of her cousins and uncles and aunts. And, her uncle, Alan, was fantastic. Him and I, like, basically best buds by the time it was over. And we started talking about movies and stuff and music and you know, movies do really, you can bond with strangers over film. You know, I might not agree with you on a billion things in this world, but maybe we really enjoyed Back to the Future 2 or something. Or you and I could say Big Trouble in Little China. Both of us would agree it's one of the best movies ever made. And we could go back and we might be total strangers, but we have that bond. And that's a door opener for us to kick down as a society and remember that we are all different beings and humans in this place. And, you know, I think the world's gotten a lot smaller with the internet and with social media. And I think we forget that everybody comes from a different place. And I think that if there's something that can at least give us something to hang on to that binds us together, even if everything else is trying to separate us, I think we've got something that's special. And I think that's what films do. And they have always done. Moreover than a propaganda model or a way to teach everybody something. It's to give that escape and to find something we all love equally together. And that's a base for finding solutions to other problems. I think that really is that moment where you could say, hey, we agree on this. What else do we agree on? Wait, we're more alike than unlike than we really realized. Unless it's, of course, Encanto. Right. So
Definitely.
With that, I'll get off my soapbox. But do you have any last thoughts here before we put a bow on this? As we go, again, go ahead and let everybody know where to find you guys. And again, what to expect with the review. Reviewing things, right? Reviewing things, which is a Stranger Things spinoff, as you told us. But go ahead and tell us a little bit about it real quick again, one more time, and then we'll move.
Yeah. Thanks again to you and Aloha Mr. Hand for having me and Swole on today. Really enjoy on this journey, going on this journey with you guys. It's been a whole lot of fun for the past. I think we've been doing for like 6 months now. But yeah, you can find us at me at Lil Yumper on Twitter. You can find Swole at Doughboy Swole on Twitter. Check out our podcast, Yumper and Swole, at Yumper and Swole on Twitter. Also check out our website, The Tainted Glove, where we post all our podcasts, all our articles and blogs. I post some reviews I did. I actually have a review that's going to be coming out soon that I'm finishing up on a movie that I really liked from the back in the past. And also we'll be doing a Stranger Things recap. I've never seen Stranger Things. I just finished the first season. So we're going to do a thing called Reviewing Things. It'll be me, Swole, and King Nam. We're going to try to do this as a live thing every Saturday when Swole comes back from vacation. So check out our Twitter. We'll be posting that. We'll be doing it at the Tainted Glove YouTube page. So come and join us and hang out. And thanks again, Fidds, for having me on. Absolutely, guys. Thank you. Thanks, Swole, as well, for hopping on here as well, man. Yump, always, for those of you that think that, by the way, additional soapbox, those of you that think that social media is just a bunch of random ass strangers, I can tell you right now that Yump and I are on this show. We've hung out. There are people in my life that I can tell you right now that have become closer than brothers that we met on social media. And, Yump and I have only been in the same vicinity once. And I can tell you right now, I consider him to be one of my best friends. And through social media, if you're doing it the right way and you're not being a doucher, it's a great way to just meet people with like interests that, that start with just a couple of DMs and turns into a full-on friendship. You've come, you've been here to Vegas, you visited, you and Swole as well, Pete as well. I mean, Pete's come here a few times. I expect you guys back here now, even though Swole's sister's moving out of here probably, but I expect you guys back here for more trips in the future. And that's the beautiful part about it. So, I'm absolutely so happy and appreciative of you coming on here, especially because it's like a phone call with a good friend, a very good friend. And that makes me very happy. Again, Pete's out tonight. He's at the game. I'm sure he's probably enjoying this one. He's having a blast out there in the 108 right now. So I don't think he would trade that moment as well. But for me, this has been a great moment, a great night for me. I've really enjoyed this. I really do appreciate you coming on, Yump. And again, check out their show. Go ahead, like, follow. Make sure you smash the like button on this one as well. But again, we know your time, as Pete will always say, we know your time is precious. We got a big week coming up this week. We got the Westworld season 4 premiere. I'm a huge Westworld fan, my favorite show on television. So we'll talk about that next week with Pete as well. We're going to have Mailman Jack on next week as well. But big week. Elvis is coming out in theaters as well. So I think that we'll have a conversation about that here, both social media wise and on the podcasts. But I know your time is, we both know that your time is very limited, and that you giving us that gift of your time is extremely important. And we're very gracious of that. And we're thankful here with the Tainted Glove Network. Check out the taintedglove.com. Again, Tainted Glove, our Twitter. Check out everybody. I'm at KFidds. You got at Aloha Mr. Hand for Pete. But once again, be good to each other. We got something from the Yeah Dog coming up.
after this, after we kind of tune out of here. So make sure you stick around for the Yeah Dog thoughts of the week. And other than that, we appreciate you. So in the words of our great friend Pete, Aloha Mr. Hand, as he likes to say at the end of every broadcast, thank you guys for tuning in. Be good to each other and aloha.